Alrighty, here to talk about Predator Killer of Killers, which just came out yesterday. It is Saturday today. And yes, in a hot July Oklahoma summer, there is a space heater on in the background because my house is quite cool and the cat gets cold. So there is that. But yeah, Predator Killer of Killers just came out and is, I wouldn't say a direct sequel to Prey, but it's made by the same director, and so it's, in the same continuity. And it's, I guess, nice to see some level of continuity for a shared and built universe. Not that there has to be that, but, inevitably, they're going to try to set up Alien versus Predator. And so at least this way, they could try to do it as correct as possible and not just rush into it. As we recall, the old the AVP movie from 2004 and 2008, 2009, AVP Requiem, just very, very mediocre, subpar. The first one, it's okay, but PG-13, oof. The second one is definitely more of a guilty pleasure for me, like so bad it's good. But between, I liked Alien Romulus, I liked Prey, and I liked Killer of Killers, and I'm excited for Badlands. So it's like, okay, all right, what are we setting up here? But and Alien Earth. But when it comes to Predator Killer of Killers, what was so interesting, that it's animation, which you go on Facebook, and this is for everything. It's just a little tangent I just want to talk about, but I would look on the official Predator Killer of Killers Facebook page, or Predator, or 20th Century, and it would just be always grown men commenting, cartoons, what am I, 5? Cartoons, this is for children. And you sit there and go, this is either a bot account or somehow a 40-year-old plus man is this stupid and, I don't know, insecure, I guess, that, what, you can't watch an animation? I mean, there were plenty of animations that were, you could say, I guess, geared towards children, but still perfect for adults. And in this case, it is not geared towards children. There's a bunch of gore and violence, so animation can be for adults. It was just such a weird thing I keep seeing, complaining. On top of, and I'm not going to get into a tangent on this one, but everyone complaining that the Viking, it's based off, a Viking woman, a shield maiden, and that just bugs them. It's like, okay, well, whatever. My brother in Christ, in a movie where there's a literal alien that can go invisible with an energy-based weapon on its shoulder. That's where your just immersion is broke. Okay, but the movie is animation. It's an anthology in a sense. I guess most anthologies run like this, but you have 3 separate stories that basically intertwine at the end, which I won't spoil just yet. But I liked, it's basically everything people have been asking for made into shorts. Now, would it be amazing to still get a full-length live-action movie? Absolutely. I would love to see a Viking era Predator movie, or a feudal Japan, samurais versus, or a samurai versus the Predator. And the World War II one was great. And so it gives us a taste of what we might get more of. So I just really don't understand why people are so upset about it. Now, I will say, with the animation, there were a few parts, and it seemed the most noticeable to me. You know what? Maybe I just had to get used to it. In the beginning, where a couple of shots, it did seem like the frames dropped or something. It wasn't animated as smooth, because a lot of other parts were animated smoothly. And so I don't know. Maybe there was no drop, and my eyes just had to get used to it. I think the animation's gorgeous. It reminded me a lot of Arcane. The voice acting was good. One thing I will say as a critique for this movie, a lot of the dialogue is very stereotypical and safe. And I say safe in a sense that I could basically predict what they were going to say because it was as stereotypical in that scenario as you could be. And so I was like, okay, kind of cringe movie dialogue, but whatever. I maybe if it was more fleshed out and we got a full length movie, they wouldn't have to rely on like the quick exposition for this thing and feel this emotion. Okay, done. But the first short is a shield maiden and her clan getting revenge on a other clan that basically wiped out her clan when she was a kid. And then a predator happens to be watching and is trying to wait until he sees the winner and then attack them. And very neat, very cool things. It was funny because the fight scene, I mean, gory, but when it's the shield maiden versus the predator, it reminded me a lot. It was so funny because my wife said it first. She goes, "This reminds me of The Hobbit when Thorin and Azog are fighting on the ice." I was like, yeah, it's very, very reminiscent of that. Not that they were the first people to do that, but reminiscent of that. And definitely a cool way, you are like, holy crap, how long can you hold your breath underwater? But, again, there's no real sense of time in a sense that, perhaps she's holding her breath for 2 minutes and then it's the, next thing. But it kind of seems with how the scene's cut that it's not that. The predator is huge. It was cool to see, because all three have different masks in all three shorts. And this predator, he basically doesn't cover his mouth and only has a mask above his mouth. So that was cool. And he's missing a hand and has a gravity push gun, like a kinetic force gun as a hand, which comes into play, which was cool. Something I do find interesting is the Vikings speak English, but at the very end, which I'll get into in spoilers, when the Viking speaks, the Shield Maiden, it's fully in Norse or Norwegian, whatever. No amount of English. So I was curious why, because in the second short that takes place in Japan, they speak Japanese. So I was curious why in the first short, when it's the Vikings, why they didn't speak Norwegian or, whatever the official language was. I think that would have added a little bit more to the authenticity, just like with Prey. I know there is I can't remember the tribe, but the Comanche dialogue in Prey, which is cool, but I really wish Prey had been filmed with them actually speaking Comanche, and then we could have gotten just an English dub, because it would have added a little bit more to the authenticity. But that's probably, I don't know, more of a nitpick. Very cool. The second one is probably my favorite, and it's the samurai, because it's about two brothers. One stays, becomes like the warlord, one leaves, and then, when it comes time, the brother who left becomes a ninja, comes and tries to attack the other brother as like a, I don't know, gotcha? Like, he doesn't want to kill him, but he wants to, like, I don't know, embarrass him and beat him up. Or he's planning something. And a predator happens to be there. And what almost seems like a ninja predator. And what's cool about this one also is it looks like it doesn't have any top tusks, mandibles. They've got 4 mandibles. This one, it's like 2. And the mask is perfectly, like, covering here and goes down, almost like the Prey mask. But it's just got the 2 mandibles like tusks, which reminded me of the tusk predator from Predators. So that was neat. And seeing its weapons and stuff, this whip chain, almost like Takeda from Mortal Kombat X. It even made the same noise too, where it's just this, instead of having wrist blades, which I think he still does, he's got a wrist blade and a wrist whip, and it's just slicing people's heads off. It was crazy, crazy cool. And seeing the fight scene between the 2 brothers, while in the background you can see the invisible predator just lurking, was a very cool use of the predator in the scene without the predator having to be fighting. And it ends perfectly. It was a very, very bittersweet ending to the short. And then the third one is about a pilot during World War II And you know, his whole thing is like he doesn't really know how to work on planes that good, but he just loves flying. So he doesn't care about maintenance or anything. He just wants to fly. And so everyone's like, "Listen, shithead, you know, there's more to flying than just flying. You need to take care of your vehicle and just, you know, care more." And what happens, and what I really liked about this short, and I would love to see more of, the Predator does not leave its ship. It's a Predator in a ship shooting down other airplanes during World War II. So you get to see it, and you know, a dogfight in the air between the Predator ship and a bunch of the Allies and stuff. And that was neat to see. I would actually love to see more of that. A Predator movie set during World War II. You could even have it where the beginning part is this, and then it crash lands, and then, you know, you have the Predator. I mean, it could be either one. I mean, to make it more sense to a jungle setting, you could be like, oh, it's on Bikini Atoll or whatever, and have that be the latter half of the movie. You know, it was just really cool to see, and how the pilot figures out how the Predator ship is tracking their planes and how to maneuver around that. Very cool, very awesome. I loved it. And then once all three stories conclude, we get the finale, which is a, you know, the lead up from all three stories, which adds a little bit more to the lore. Not as much as I wish, but it sets up a lot for the future. And I'm excited to see where that goes, because they do have a, not a post-credit scene, but a very ending scene stinger where I was like, oh shit. Okay. We're about to really build up onto something, and it's the perfect way to be like, how would we have all these characters from, you know, all kinds of different time periods be on the same team? Kaboom. There you go. Perfectly done. And so I hope we get a sequel to this. The ending 100% sets up a sequel. And so I would love to see more of these anthology shorts or continuations of these characters, different time periods, because you could do Egypt, World War One, the trenches, Vietnam War. You know, there's so many things. Medieval time, knights versus the Predator. So many possibilities. And so I loved it. I'll definitely be watching it again. It didn't feel slow, greatly paced. Again, it just almost felt too fast on the stories, where you're like, you know, I want more. I want more of this setting, this world. So, out of 10, and again, it's on my Letterboxd. Oh wait, no, it isn't. I will have to review it after this video on Letterboxd, but it will be on Letterboxd. Out of 10, or I guess Letterboxd goes by 5 stars, I'm gonna give this a solid 4. A step above the average, but I wouldn't say, you know, peak. But I wouldn't really say any of the Predator movies are peak. I think I gave Predator 1 like a 4.5. Predator 2, I think it was a 3.5 or 4. And basically all of the, you know, Predators I gave a 4. And this I'll be giving a 4. Just solid movies. You know, nothing crazy like, oh my god, Oscar worthy, but good. And I don't know, I had a good time. You know, I'm really hoping NECA makes the figures from these 3 Predators, because the one from the samurai one, so cool, and I would love to have it. But yeah, so about 4 out of 5. Now, when I get into spoilers, which will be right now, so all 3 shorts, you know, combined, they do a great job of setting up the ending bit, because once the first short ends, you realize it's the Shield Maiden reliving her memory right before she was kidnapped by a Predator, and you see that she's in a locked room with, you know, other people, and you're like, oh, what's going on? And with the samurai story, it was kind of weird that he accidentally thought he killed his brother and was like, oh. I'm like, dude, you came in there about to beat his ass, looked like you're about to full on kill him, and then you're shocked that he died, you know, and then of course you realize he doesn't actually die, and by the end, the brother actually does die. But Um, it was interesting to see when it comes to the World War II section. I don't know. I guess that one maybe stuck out to me the most. Just so interesting because it's the dogfight in the air. He realizes that the Predator ship is heat-seeking based because it shoots these heat-seeking anchors that anchor into the hottest part of the plane, the engine, and then pulls the engine out. And so he realizes if they can go high enough into the atmosphere that and then turn off their engines, that their planes can actually cool off in time, that the heat-seeking anchor missiles cannot detect them. But they're going to have to go so high that it starts freezing their equipment. And it basically works, except it's the main guy and his commander. And the commander's like, I'm going to buy you some time. Avenge me. And, you know, he buys him no time. I mean, he buys him basically a distraction. His plane blows up, and the Predator can't see any other planes, so he thinks that he beat them and is going to go fly back down and kill more people. And then as he's flying down, the main character shoots, the Predator's engines. And something I hadn't thought about, but was such a perfect idea, is he lures the Predator ship onto an ongoing battle between battleships. And so the Predator ship gets horrifically beaten up. And he thinks he won. But then the Predator still comes back. And the guy realizes, since it's heat seeking, what he does is he floods the engine as it's getting super hot. So it's basically like a ticking time bomb. The anchor shoots through. And he puts a parachute on the plane. And basically, the anchor missile goes to the main character's plane, grabs the engine that's about to explode, and then because he parachuted it, it's like pulls it back at a weird enough speed that it actually swings back onto the Predator ship and blows it up. It was pretty neat. It was pretty cool to see. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm back home. I won a medal," and a huge Predator ship leaves a crop circle and abducts him. And then they are brought to a coliseum on a Predator world. I don't know if it's Yautja Prime or whatever, but like where you see the wolf predator from AVP Requiem. But it's a coliseum, and there's a master predator with these cool spines as a cape, which I don't know if they were xenomorph tails, but he's basically saying, "You three kill each other, and whoever wins fights me." And they each get a weapon of their tribe. And so the Shield Maiden gets a huge axe, the Samurai gets a sword, and the World War II guy gets a flintlock pistol. And it was so like comical because he's like, "Huh?" But of course, it's the flintlock pistol from Predator 2 and Prey. And so it, it was a nice callback. And he basically can't use it. And the samurai's like, we should work together and not kill each other. But the master predator puts, bomb collars on him and is like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to kill you. And, it's a cool fight scene, and them slowly realizing they need to work together and beating the ever-living crap out of the master predator. And you know what? By the end, it was reminding me a lot of Predators, because they're like, well, why don't we just take the Predator ship? We'll try our best. And they end up doing it. The Shield Maiden sacrifices her life to save them so they can leave. The samurai gets his arm cut off. And so you find out they don't kill the Shield Maiden. They put her in a cryostasis, which is where they put everyone. And you see they have hundreds of thousands of cryopods full of different species of alien. And it zooms in, and you see Naru from Prey. And so the end credits from Prey basically set up that after she killed the feral predator, they came, abducted her, and she's in cryostasis. So now you can have a future movie with Naru and other returning characters, and it works because they are in cryosleep. So it's a very neat way to do that, in my opinion. And I was like, oh, I mean, the moment we saw the flintlock, I was like, oh, okay. And it's interesting that they stopped at World War II because, in my mind, technically that's when they picked him up, and they're going. He was in cryosleep, so we don't necessarily know how long they've been asleep, but it has to be pre 1990 because in 1997 in universe is when Danny Glover is given the flintlock pistol by that one of the elder predators in the Predator trophy room. So I do wonder when we're going to get to that point. I know there's speculation like, oh my God, well, what if Dutch is in the cryopod? Are we going to get Arnold again? Who knows? Would Adrian Brody be willing to come back? Who knows? But it sets up a lot, and so I'm excited for Predator Badlands and excited to see where the Alien and Predator franchises go because Alien Earth looks awesome, looks great. Alien Romulus, as fan servicey as it was, great movie. And so, um, it sounds cringe to say, but us Predator and Alien fans are eating good this year, and I'm excited to see what kind of collectibles and stuff they come out with. It'll just be a really cool time. So, yeah, out of 5, a 4. Go watch it. It's great. It's just a fun time. So, again, not really for kids. It's it's very gory. So, you know, just be aware. But I guess until next time, that's going to be it. I'm out.